just, has anyone else seen a copy other than AJ? Okay. All right. So let's review it and make that decision.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Did you have anything else?
Nope, that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Does anyone have any more questions?
I do. I have a question about the upcoming election. And I know you're going to talk about that some today, during your meeting. But I was just wondering if you could outline for me how that's going to be handled, who's going to do what, and how, because and maybe how you did it last time, and versus how you're going to do it this time. Is it going to be the same? Is it going to be different?
AJ, do you feel like responding to that?
Yeah, we'll do the election. It'll be a mail ballot election, but the counting processes and the election judges will be from Crestone. Will handle the counting process in Crestone at the Baca office with local election judges. And then once we've counted those results, then we will later convene a grievance board, which will be one member of the board of directors and one member of the public and myself as the DEO to certify those final election results. So anyhow, at this point, we've published a notice in the Crescent for people who are interested in running. They need to turn in a self-nomination form by March 2nd. And those self-nomination forms are available on the website.
Yeah, I noticed that you have to approve those, AJ. Is it okay for them to just drop them off here at the office? And
It is. They can drop them off at the office. And they can also get one from the office.
How will the ballots be distributed out to the voters?
It'll be distributed by mail. So everybody who is an eligible elector, meaning they're registered to vote and they own property or have lived in the district for at least 30 days, will receive a ballot by mail.
Because I know when the POA elections came up just a while ago, we didn't get any ballots.
Well, we don't run to the
Better make sure
POA.
that your lists are current.
Our lists are current. Because we have to bill everybody.
They go by different.
Well, we get the list from the county.
And then, we had a big issue last year. It turned out the person who was most angry at the last election wasn't registered to vote. So he wasn't allowed to vote, but he thought he should have been allowed to vote. So things like that, if you're not
You
registered...
have to be a registered voter in Colorado. You can't, you can't participate in this election without being a
You
registered
should make
voter.
that provision clear to folks so if they don't know that, they can get aware of it and get themselves registered. Yeah.
I'm registered, but I'm not a property owner.
Well, it's also if you live in the district for at least 30 days and you're a registered voter, then you qualify.
Okay.
So, and that information is up on the district's website.
And where will your election judges come from?
As I just said, there'll be locals from Crestone.
Who selects those?
I do.
Ah.
Are you open to people volunteering, AJ?
Oh, absolutely. And we've got 2 volunteers so far. In fact, it's Diane Dunlop and Wedora.
So does anyone else want to be judges? Does anyone else want to put their hat in the ring that's sitting here?
And there's plenty of time for that. That's kind of a step that's down the road a little bit. And we're going to be, as deadlines start to approach and certain election deadlines are triggered, we'll be putting information on the website. So that's something that we'll note on the website once we are confirmed that we'll be having an election. But we need to take things kind of one step at a time and make sure that we're doing things in accordance with the deadline stated in the election law. So there are some times where some publications and information information cannot be provided before certain dates, and sometimes there are deadlines where things can be provided after certain deadlines. So we'll be conducting it in accordance with those deadlines and posting updates and information on the website.
I would suggest for future elections, obviously you can't change much for this one, that you use complete outside sources and impartial and fair judges and election management that doesn't have anything to do with the water board or the water board management. Because it's cleaner. I mean, the county clerk would be the normal facility to use for elections.
Mm-hmm.
And it would cause a lot of us to have less questions about your ethics. If you would do
Well,
things in a cleaner,
I'd like to kind of address that. Before, when we used the clerk and recorder's office, the election, we had severe issues with it not being conducted appropriately, and it ended up costing the district about $15,000 more to have things corrected. That includes the ballots weren't sent out correctly. They weren't sent to the right people. They weren't complete ballots that were sent out, and then they weren't counted correctly. So there were a lot of issues with that. And also, the statute specifically provides that the designated election official can be anybody appointed by the board, and it can include the district manager. Now, the district manager does not vote and oversees other people counting the ballots, so there's not any bias or anything like that that can come into play with the designated election official being the district manager. And as AJ pointed out, the election judges by statute have to be somebody that is an elector within the district, unless there aren't sufficient people willing to do that, and then it can be somebody else. But we have to still follow those rules that are set forth in the election laws, and unfortunately we can't get around that. So the election judges will have to be people from Baca.
It doesn't have to be from the water district itself. It doesn't have to be the general manager of the water district.
And the election judges are not going to be the general manager or the district manager of the district. As AJ said, we've already had 2 residents who have volunteered to serve as election judges for the district. And if we get any more, then we'll determine who will actually be the election judges. But you will have 2 residents of the district that will be the election judges.
My point being that AJ is the district manager of the water district, or the general manager of the water district. He therefore is not fair and impartial. He has an interest, and that is a conflict of interest, and it's to us outsiders, it looks unethical. I mean, it smacks of unethics.
That may be your opinion, but I don't have an interest in the outcome of the election. And I can't, people other than me will be counting those ballots.
Yeah.
My only role will be to oversee their counting process.
Well, that overseer should be somebody that doesn't have anything to do with the water district. I mean, I'm not saying you should change immediately. Keep that in mind for the next time you do elections. If you can't use the county clerk's office successfully, find some other way. But try to present it in a more open, fair, and impartial way that doesn't involve personnel from the water district, which obviously can be corrupted, or, everybody has their interest, and naturally they're going to go with what is in their best interest. You see what I mean? There's prejudice, there's bias, it happens. We're human beings. So
I understand your point of view, and I respectfully disagree with regard to any interest in the outcome of the election.
Peter, if you understood how the process is structured, it would be really hard for AJ to manipulate anything. But
It's
since you
impossible.
don't understand, yeah, it's impossible actually.
Just the same, from an ethical standpoint, it looks bad. To have the water board district itself managing the election, it does not speak of fairness and equity. I'm sorry, but it doesn't.
Okay. Can I ask a question? What year was it that the county clerk handled the election so badly?
It was, I want to say it was the November 09 election.
Yeah.
And that one was particularly important because we had, what happened on that one was some received the first page of the ballot and some received 2 pages of the ballot. So subsequent additional ballots had to be sent out. Wrong people were on lists. We had, and then again, like I said, when the results came in, they had to count it 6 times because they kept getting different results. And we, at one point, almost had to to get the Secretary of State's office involved because of issues that we were having with certain election laws not being followed appropriately. So as a result of that, we shifted that duty back to the district. Now, it's contemplated by statute, and with most, I would say, if not all water and sanitation districts, they handle it the way that this district is handling this election, with conducting it with their own DEO and whatnot, not only because it's more economical, but because you have, it's just easier for the district to be able to do that and more convenient for its voters. So there are a whole host of issues and ideas that are taken into consideration, and this is just how most water and sanitation districts conduct their elections.
Yeah, and that was really especially important to us because we were refinancing the debt. And so it was a really important issue, and people were not getting...
I learned after the fact that I didn't get a ballot in an election that had already been decided. So,
yeah.
but you know, I was a fair newcomer, but I was a registered voter. So they didn't.
I mean, it was a huge chaos.
So since we got to I actually was going to wait, but since we're on election, I want to, so if a property owner is a registered voter in Colorado and lives in Lakewood,
Right.
that property owner receives a ballot, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Right.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What are the duties of these electors?
Of the elector?
Yeah,
The elector doesn't really have any duties. You can choose
well, the election judges
Yeah,
there.
you want to hear.
That was Michael Scully, and he clarified his question as, what duties do the election judges have?
The election judges are the ones that oversee the counting of the ballots, and they have to go to a class. They're required by law to go to an election judge training class, and then that particular class teaches them what issues, kind of the hanging Chad issue, what kind of things they have to look for when counting ballots, what procedures have to be in place, what confidentiality has to be in place for counting those ballots, and then on election day they receive and count those ballots, and then assist the DEO with rendering the election results.
Okay.
And then they have to be, for qualifying to be an election judge, and we'll put all of this up on the website, but they have to be an elector of the district, and they cannot be related to anybody by blood or by marriage to anybody that's on the ballot themselves, just so that you do avoid any conflicts of interest or any bias. Outside of that is kind of the regular, making sure that they're not violating any kind of oaths and whatnot, kind of the commonsensical requirements for anybody.